dudes and dudettes. How are you guys? This is Chazzy and welcome back to Cinema Chazzy, the segment on this channel where I review the many movies that I watch over the years, whether they're old or new or modern or classic. I know some of those words are synonyms, but I insist on saying that because it's my intro. I have it memorized. I cannot change it for the life of me now. And today's video is going to be a sequel review. See what I did there? To this other one that I did recently, reviewing Wreck-It Ralph, that came out in 2012. And today I'm going to be reviewing the sequel to that, which I don't know if I'm actually looking forward to, because this movie, honestly, it's not that it was bad, but when you compare it to the original and then you also, take into consideration the fact that there were 3 different scripts put into play, before the screenwriter settled on the final plot, bro, it is just a conglomeration. That word does not exist. It is essentially a combination of some of my worst nightmares. There is something towards the final act that will forever haunt me. That's why I could probably never watch this movie again. Just once was enough. But anyway, so it is called Ralph Breaks the Internet, which a very missed opportunity for them to call it Ralph Wrecks the Internet, right? Would have been a lot more clever. But it was released back in 2018, right? So a whopping 6 years after the original. And this movie here brought back obviously a large part of the original voice cast, with some new additions too. We have Gal Gadot, man, freaking Wonder Woman now up in this thing here with that very sexy Israeli accent of hers. Anyway, so the movie was largely successful at the box office because it had an initial budget of $175 million, and somehow, I don't even know how, it went on to gross $529.3 million, and I don't know, man. Even though I was very excited to watch it, this was one of those cases where my expectations were so high that I guess maybe everything crumbled, because the idea was really interesting. It's Ralph and Vanellope having to go into the internet to try to buy a replacement steering wheel for Sugar Rush because it broke, right? And they need a new steering wheel so, the arcade owner won't shut it down. But it's really cool. It's nice to see them go into the bowels of the internet, and even seeing a little bit of the deep web too. It's really cool, very nice modern internet culture, the digital age, but the execution the character development was easily the worst part about this movie here, We had Ralph in the original being this misunderstood bad guy who just wanted more out of life and to do good, to be liked and have friends. Now suddenly he's a freaking obsessive sociopath who can't spend more than 10 seconds away from Vanellope, doesn't leave her alone. He's way too dependent on her, He's like a borderline stalker, man, It turns him into a guy who just wanted friends into possibly the worst friend ever. But still, this is the first animated sequel for Walt Disney's animated studios thing, so they tried, It was directed by Rich Moore again, but also Phil Johnston in his directorial debut, he joined him. It was a very interesting combination, but still, I didn't really like the movie so much, and I will explain after as the video goes on. But first, let's take a look at a clip from this abomination, eh?
Wow, look at all this stuff.
It started out so well, man. The movie gets off to such a good start and then slowly starts to unravel itself. Now, it's been a while since I've seen it, it was earlier this year, and unlike the first one, I only saw the sequel once, and I think it's gonna stay that way forever. So for me to break down the plot, I'm gonna pull a little bit from the synopsis here on Wikipedia, if you guys don't mind. But essentially, why do I keep calling her Penelope? Vanellope grows a little bored with the predictability of Sugar Rush, so Ralph decides to surprise her by making a new track, which she goes off onto racing. But then she tries to take control from the player who's actually steering in real life, so that causes the steering wheel to break. Then Litwack says he has to replace it, but unfortunately it's a bit too expensive, it's a little pricey, so he installs the internet, and Vanellope and Ralph go into it, we see a lot of different a lot of different creativity here, you know, where we see the virtual avatars being we see the users of the web being represented as the virtual avatars. You know, we see the programs are actually people. You know, it's actually really cool. You know, it kind of gives us a little bit of those Inside Out vibes. You know, a little bit of the Emoji Movie. Man, the Emoji Movie sucked. I don't even know why I mentioned that here, but still, they find the steering wheel that they need and they want to bid on it, but they unfortunately end up, you know, making it cost $27,000 because they don't really know how bidding works, you know, which is a little bit of an interesting plot point. But eventually they have to raise the money, so Ralph runs into some spam bots, you know, and he sees some really quick and easy ways to make bucks on YouTube, and eventually he does. They have 24 hours to raise the funds. He eventually runs into an algorithm named Yes, who helps him create a viral video, which helps him boost his views and get him some cash. But of course, Ralph is quickly exposed to the negative side of the internet, which is the YouTube comments, you know. It's kind of weird how things work, you know, in this universe. It is very creative and unique, man. The approach that they took to building the internet, you know, was really awesome. Like how they make trolls out to be literal trolls, you know, even though they're supposed to be people who are mean, but still, that's the idea. So anyway, you know, Ralph makes friends with this guy, you know, JP's family, who is actually the one who brokers items obtained from video games, you know. So basically he wants them to steal a car, you know, in this really hard game so they can make a lot of cash. But then we have the character voiced by Gal Gadot, who doesn't really makes it a little tough, you know. There is an interesting point where after they split up and Ralph is doing his thing, you know, with the spam guy, where Vanellope is actually chased by stormtroopers because we have the Star Wars now in the middle of it. So then she goes into the this secret room where we have all of the Disney princesses, you know, where there's actually this really complicated scene where Vanellope is a princess in her movie, but she isn't really considered a Disney princess because she doesn't fit the right requirements and everything. You know what? Film Theory did a video about this. Go and watch that later. This channel is not for that. I don't want to discuss that. But it's really nice to see the princesses, you know, from different animations, you know, in different areas, you know, together in the same room. That was nice. Little song too. And then also, eventually, Vanellope goes to Slaughter Race, which is where we have the character Shank, voiced by Gal Gadot. And she actually, even though her intention is to steal her car and win money, you know, she actually befriends her. They grow together. She talks to her about Ralph, you know, she opens up to him, but unfortunately Ralph is actually, you know, he's listening to her via this hologram. He already has the money to buy the wheel, but after this happens, they have a little bit of a falling out, you know, because she is racing. She feels like she doesn't want to be in Candy Crush and Sugar Rush anymore. She wants to come to Slaughter Race, you know, that's where she feels like she belongs. But because Ralph is so obsessive, you know, he sabotages the race and causes her to crash. So, and then that's where she takes his medal that she made for him in the first movie, the cookie medal, and just throws it. And that kind of breaks his heart, but at the same time, it kind of, you know, it's kind of fitting for how he's been treating her. Unfortunately, he had gone into the confines of the deep web and got a virus to try to sabotage the race, and this virus duplicates the insecurities of its host, you know, so it actually ends up proliferating out of control, and he actually, what the hell does it do, man? I forgot it completely. Okay, oh yeah, here we go. It copies Ralph's insecurities and causes this massive global DOS attack on the internet, which comes in the form of Ralph being duplicated countless times. So it's a bunch of Ralphs, you know, going after Vanellope, you know, they are his insecurities manifesting in his physical form, chasing after Vanellope, you know. And that's where it gets creepy, because at the very end, all of the Ralphs, they come together to create this abomination of a giant Ralph, like a Ralphzilla. I think that's what it's literally called. It's so scary because this has such creepy human centipede vibes, man. It is just terrible. It is nightmare feel, you know? Like you can see when it's up close grabbing Ralph, a bunch of the other Ralphs just moving on. I don't even want to focus too much on that, but they eventually overcome it because Ralph says that he has to let Vanellope go, you know, break free of his own insecurities and let her live her life, and that's when the abomination gets destroyed. Really, really creepy, very uncalled for. What the hell, Disney? That was just disturbing. That was just, that you can't put that in a kid's movie, man. But anyway, there is a happy ending, you know. Eventually they respawn and whatnot. They go back to their races. They get the new steering wheel. Vanellope is happy now. You know, they have little social activities. You know, she still talks to Ralph and whatever. You know, now he's confident because he's independent. There are also some interesting characters, like we have Fixes Felix Jr. and Calhoun being a couple now, and they adopt some of the characters, you know, from Sugar Rush because the game was shut down, so it left inhabitants without a home. Very interesting subplot, you know, which would have been a lot more interesting than the freaking Ralphzilla that we saw. But anyway, that's pretty much essentially the plot. You know, I probably left out a few other things. I just can't remember too many details, and I just wanted to get through the goddamn Ralphzilla thing. I was freaking just blah. Anyway, let's take a look at another clip here before I continue.
Welcome to the search bar. What can I help you find today? Umbrella, umbrage, umami.
No.
Noah's Ark, no doubt. Nordstrom Rack, ergonomics, Urban Outfitters, cool.
I'm pretty sure he's just trying to guess what you're gonna say.
My autofill is a touch aggressive today.
Let me try. Take me to a website that's super intense and really nuts.
So, the large cast remains largely the same with a few new additions, right? So we have, again, John C. Reilly voicing Ralph, who essentially damn near becomes the primary antagonist in this thing, you know, not just because of his insecurities and becoming a freaking sociopath obsessed with Vanellope, but the goddamn Ralphzilla at the end. And speaking of Vanellope, Sarah Silverman voicing her again, you know, Vanellope von Schweetz, and they are still friends even after they're falling out, but it just... you can almost kind of empathize more with because it's weird how things change. In the first movie, we're led to empathize with Ralph, and now we have to empathize with Vanellope because Ralph became a freaking psycho. You know, freaking insane, man. We have now Gal Gadot as Shank. You know, one of the new additions. She is the tough and talented NPC racer in Slaughter Race. You know, very good character, really strong and willed. I really like her a lot. We have Taraji P. Henson. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that name as Yes, who is the algorithm who determines how the videos work in this thing called BuzzTube, which is an obvious, you know, combination of YouTube and BuzzFeed. Very interesting, very cool, very upbeat and happy character. I really like her a lot. Very good justice that the actress did to the voice there, you know. Jack McBrae reprising his role as Felix, you know, who is apparently now married to Calhoun. You know, it's he's pretty, they kind of become side characters now, but it's still, I don't know, man. The fact that he and Calhoun are married is a little bit of a better character development, you know, especially after what we saw in the last movie. And speaking of Calhoun, we have Jane Lynch voicing her again, you know, pretty much the same character basis, you know, the same outfit, you know, she doesn't really change clothes, which I thought that maybe giving her some different outfits, like different skin or something, would make it a little interesting, but still, it's all good. We have again Alan Tudyk, you know, Alan Tudyk. Wait, no, not again. Was he in the first movie? I don't remember, but still, he's in this one here. He's voicing Knowsmore, who's a character of the search engine, right? Who's essentially responsible for all of the searches, you know, basically like Ask Me Google or Siri or something like that, you know. Although he's kind of like an aggressive autofill too, but I like him. He's pretty okay. So anyway, oh yes, he was in the previous movie, right? I forgot. He voiced King Candy, right? Now he's this guy here. And we also have Alfred Molina as Double Dan, who is the half-worm virus creator who inhabits the dark web. A very disturbing character, you know, very in line with the environment, but still kind of weird if you think about it. Freaking Doc Ock, Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man voicing a freaking war from the deep web. And we also have Ed O'Neill again as Mr. Litwack, who's the owner of the arcade. So there are a few other voices too, you know. There are different actresses who voice the princesses, you know, because some of these princesses had voice actresses who have either passed away or retired. They're too old for this, so, you know, we'll have some of them coming in to give them voices. We have Anna and Elsa and other princesses who were kind of coming in as like, we usually see them as 2D, but now they're 3D. I thought it was pretty cool, honestly, the interactions there. There are a lot of different popular culture references. Disney owns pretty much everything now, so aside from Pixar, you know, we also see references to Star Wars and Marvel and the Muppets, you know. We also see a little bit of Fortnite Battle Royale, a little bit of the Battle Royale? Yeah, Battle Royale. So basically, we see the dance too, the popular ones. We even have, at the very end, we have Imagine Dragons singing one of their songs. There are way too many references, you know. There were a few things that were cut, you know, like for example, they wanted to include Kylo Ren being called a spoiled brat, but I guess, you know, Lucasfilm thought it would undermine his role as a villain in the movie, so they decided to just cut that completely. There was going to be a scene where the princesses were going to call C-3PO, R2-D2, or even BB-8 for some reason, right? So even the Golden Girls, that show from the 80s, was going to be included, but I guess they thought it was going to be a very strange juxtaposition, so just discarded it completely. But still, man, Stan Lee made a cameo. It was actually one of his final cameo roles in film before he passed away, unfortunately. It's nice, man. It's really interesting how they brought this world together, the characters, the different dynamics, but the execution of the plot, man, the story threads, and just... Essentially, the screenwriting in general could have been much better. There was a lot of potential that was untapped here. You know, they had a very, very good thing going for them. Started out so well, but they completely destroyed Ralph as a character, and that Ralphzilla at the end, I will forever see that in my deepest nightmares, man. Holy freaking crap. Before I go into the final stretch now, let's take a look at another clip here.
Oh, come on. Princesses and cartoon characters barf.
Hey.
Whoa. Cool.
You're coming with us, kid.
Hi. Whoa, ladies, I'm a princess too.
What kind of a princess are you?
And what's the final verdict? What is my personal take on this movie? Well, look, I didn't hate it, but I also did not love it, you know? Like, the first movie, like, if I had to say, like, in terms of stars, like, I gave it 5 stars on Letterboxd, you know, with a heart, but I gave the sequel 4 stars, and there's a reason for that. Like, let's just say that the insecurities that the movie has, you know, kind of making a little reference to Ralph's insecurities with Vanellope, you know, it doesn't ultimately completely bog it down. Like, a good portion of the movie was very enjoyable. I really liked watching it, you know? Like, only towards the end where things got really weird, you know? Like, once you actually start to break down Ralph's very lackluster character flaws and how he just kind of degraded, you know, into this really crazy, almost kind of sociopathic, you know, moron who was just completely obsessed with Vanellope and jealous of her at every turn, you know, he pretty much became like an overbearing dad, you know, rather than her best friend, you know, which I think really put a strain on their relationship and also the viewing experience. But seeing the colorful atmosphere, you know, building on the fun, witty aesthetic of the first movie, you know, where it's all about video games and arcade and gaming culture. Now it's internet lingo, you know, how it is to go online. So it does kind of show us that going online, you know, and depending on where you go and who you meet and how you interact with them, it can turn you into a monster, which was, you know, formed as the literal, like, allegory in the end with Ralphzilla, you know. That is supposed to represent Ralph's insecurities, you know, all of his bad qualities, his bad flaws coming together to create that abomination there. But it's an obvious allegorical representation of what he feels for Vanellope, but at the same time, it shows that the internet can be a very dangerous place, you know. Like, all it takes is for you to click on one little spam window to go into a rabbit hole of nonsense, right? So showing us the deep web and how creepy and unsettling and shady it is, you know, getting the virus that eventually starts to take down the whole thing. So it's really interesting, man. It's a lot of fun, you know, and I think that Walt Disney really had like the creative team, they really had a good direction, you know. It was nice what they tried to do, but just the final act was just so unbearable to watch. It was ridiculous, but happy ending aside. And there is one thing at the very, very end where they blow up the stupid bunny, feeding him pancakes. Ralph is a serial killer, and I will die with this engraved on my tombstone, man. If you didn't watch this scene with the bunny and the pancakes, I'm not even gonna get into it, but it's going to ultimately bog down this right here. Man, god damn it. But anyway, my final rating for Ralph Breaks the Internet is a resounding 7 out of 10. I cannot give it a 6, it wasn't that bad, but I cannot give it an 8, it wasn't that good. 7 is right there, you know, I think it's nice, it represents a very good appreciation for the film, you know. A lot of people seem to like it, but when you actually break it down, you know, like if you go and watch, for example, CinemaSin's video of everything wrong with Ralph Breaks the Internet, I think they actually make some really good points that I personally agree with a lot, man, you know. When you start to actually analyze the movie, you know, and take away some of the fun and use more critical eyes, it starts to really, you know, crumble in on itself. But still, I like it. I like the internet culture, the way that they were trying to introduce. They pretty much did what the Emoji Movie tried to do but failed at, you know, to show us, you know, different apps and programs and the World Wide Web represented as avatars and actual people, you know. So it was nice. It was really cool. I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, that's it. I'm really glad I got through that without vomiting at the damn human centipede-esque like scene at the end. What the hell, Disney? Jeez. But anyway, let me know in the comments below what you guys think. If you saw the movie, if you didn't. If you didn't, you gave yourself a bunch of spoilers. I don't know why. Maybe you like to torture yourself. And so, yeah. Let me know in the comments below what you thought, and if you happen to like this video, please go ahead and give it a like and also subscribe to my channel because I release videos every single day, and while you're at it, hit the notification bell too so you can know exactly what time I upload. And it's all good. It is all good. This is Chazzy signing out for now, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Roll the outro screen. Well, one more clip probably, and then the outro screen.
Ralph breaks the internet.
Shouldn't it be Ralph wrecks the internet?
Yeah, since he is Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, but break the internet, it's like a thing.
Right, it's just wreck the internet kind of sounds better, doesn't it?
You're not wrong.